So let us analyze the game between the world champ and the 3-year-old, which is Mikhail Osipov. So we got d4 having a very great start, and we got the name so Indian, and now we got these double points for Mikhail Osipov, which is very bad for him because it is a very disadvantageous move to play. We got takes and we got this triple pawn structure, which is really bad for Mikhail Osipov this position. He takes the free pawn, the pawns cannot defend each other, and no pawns can defend those two pawns, making them very, very weak. Bishop to a6, attacking the weak pawn on c4, and now we got pawn to f4. Now, because of the fact that if you take my pawn now on c4, then I will take your rook with the bishop. If you take with the pawn, I will take with the rook. Now I have this very powerful rook. So, Anatoly Karpov doesn't do that and instead goes pawn to e5. Hello everybody, and today we're going to be doing something special. And that special thing is we're going to analyze a game between a 3-year-old and a former world chess champion. The 3-year-old is Mikhail Osipov. If you don't know who that is, it is a 3-year-old that plays chess so good that literally he fights against Anatoly Karpov with a game of chess. So we're going to see if this 3-year-old prodigy can beat Anatoly Karpov. By the way, this kid is not the one to be messed with in chess because of the fact he can solve very hard tactical puzzles. So we're going to show you the puzzles that he solved in the show, and we're going to show you the game between Anatoly Karpov and Mikhail Osipov. So, let's first analyze the game. So, we got Mikhail Osipov with the white pieces over here and Anatoly Karpov with the black pieces. Okay, so we got d4. d4 is a defensive move, not really an aggressive one. e4 is much more aggressive than d4, but d4 goes for defensively and be more solid. d4 is a very solid line here, except for the Queen's Gambit, which is a more of an aggressive line. So let's see what Anatoly Karpov moves. We got knight to f6, which literally develops another piece, which is really great because it controls more squares in the center. And now we got pawn to c4, controlling more squares in the center, but with a pawn this time, and taking away the squares from the d7 pawn, so that it cannot go to d5. So we got pawn to e6 next, trying to control more squares also, but not only that, also opening the squares for the bishop to develop, so that the bishop can move anywhere, so that it can control more squares. We got knight to c3, which is a good move and a well-developing move because it controls more squares in the center, while also keeping another piece developed. We got bishop to b4, pinning the knight to the king. If this knight moves anywhere, the king will be taken, and that's illegal. So, the knight cannot move, and if the knight moves, it's illegal. We got pawn to a3, attacking the bishop, and the bishop just takes the knight. And that bishop just takes the knight because of the fact that Mikhail Osipov doubled his own pawns. Mikhail Osipov is kind of hanging by a little bit of a disadvantage over here. Mikhail Osipov has a disadvantage because of the fact these two pawns can easily be targeted and easily be attacked and be captured. So we got pawn to c5, attacking the center more with Anatoly Karpov's side. And he takes. Taking is a terrible mistake because of the fact he triples his pawn structure. But he's literally just 3 years old and doesn't know any of this. And also he can play chess. I mean, this is very bad for white. But he's just only 3 and doesn't know any of this doubling stuff. Literally, there are no neighbors that it can literally defend. Like, these 3 pawns cannot be defended by each other. And even though that, these 3 pawns cannot be defended by any other pawn, which makes them weak. But again, Mikhail Osipov is just 3 years old. Why would you blame him? He's just 3 years old and knows how to play chess very well. So we got this triple stack, which is a disadvantage for white. I wonder what will happen next. He goes knight to a6. Anatoly Karpov goes knight to a6, spotting this triple pawn weakness and targeting it very quickly. Because of the fact these 3 pawns are very weak, he needs to attack it very quickly and he will capture those pawns. Mikhail Osipov, knowing this, doesn't defend all of these 3 pawns because it is so hard to defend that. Mikhail Osipov doesn't defend these 3 pawns because of the fact that these 3 pawns are so hard to defend. So he doesn't defend this and instead goes for a pin on the knight, which is a much more meaningful move. But actually, defending with the queen is actually the much more meaningful move. But he's just 3 again. He's just 3. Come on. How can you blame him? Come on. Okay, so we got bishop to g5. Anywhere you move this knight, the queen will be taken. So the knight needs to be unpinned, or the queen has to move out of danger from the pin. And we got knight to c5, taking the pawn on c5. He takes a free pawn back, and now they're very equal in material. Mikhail Osipov has 1 pawn and 1 bishop. Anatoly Karpov has 1 pawn and 1 knight. And let's see what the next couple of moves will be. We got white developing another knight to control the squares in the center over here, which is a really great move. And now Anatoly Karpov goes for pawn to b6, defending the knight more and also making it an anchor, and also trying to open some lines for the bishop to develop the bishop. And we got pawn to g3, doing the same for his own bishop, which is the bishop on f1 to develop on g2. We got pawn to h6, which literally goes for an attack on the bishop. By the way, you may ask yourself, why didn't he go pawn to h6 in the early game? Because of the fact the pawn wasn't on g3. Because now, if the pawn was on g3, which it did was on g3, then this time he cannot go back bishop to h4 because of the fact the bishop will get trapped. The bishop is going to get trapped, and the bishop cannot move anywhere. Therefore, this bishop is going to be taken in the next move. So for that fact, the bishop just trades the knight. Mikhail Osipov trades the knight because of the fact that his bishop will get trapped if it moves back to h4. But the best move is e3. He doesn't know that because he's just 3. He doesn't know all the best move because he's just 3. But anyways, let's see this trade happen. And now, this queen is targeting another weak pawn, which is on c3. All the pawns are falling down on the white side of the board. Now we got knight to d4 blocking that attack. We got bishop to b7 attacking a rook on h1. We got pawn to f3 blocking the attack on the rook on h1. And we got castles for black, connecting his own rooks on his own side at his, I don't know, at his own side. Anyways, we got bishop to g2, which defends the pawn more, and also, if very important, developing another piece to maybe also castle for the white side. And we got bishop to a6, which is a good move to attack another pawn. These 2 pawns are weak, and so Anatoly Karpov attacks it. So we got a bishop attack on the pawn on c4. We got pawn to f4. Because now, if pawn to f4 happens, the bishop will just take the rook. And knowing for the fact that bishops are less valuable than a rook, this is a counterattack. Like, if the bishop takes the rook, rooks are more powerful than bishops. So, it would be a big disadvantage for black to lose the rook for a bishop. So, if bishop takes c4, then the white bishop will just take the rook. So, that is what is called danger levels by Gotham Chess. Maybe not by Gotham Chess at the first place, but maybe Gotham Chess. I don't know. Okay, we got rook c8, avoiding the attack of the bishop on g2 over here. And then we got castles for white. And the bishop can just take the pawn on c4, which Anatoly Karpov did take the pawn on d4. Mikhail Osipov is down by 1 pawn again, this time. Again, maybe, I think. So we got pawn to f5 going on right now, and we got pawn to e5. If pawn takes f5, we got rook to f5, and that is an attack on the king. And it is an aggressive move because his rook is active and very well placed and also very powerful. And so Anatoly Karpov didn't fall for that, and so we got e5 instead. A pawn push to e5, and that makes the knight go back, and we got Anatoly Karpov going for a big center here. But Mikhail Osipov literally lost on time, which is really not good for him. He cried a bit, I think. It was a very sad moment. So let us analyze the game between the world champ and the 3-year-old, which is Mikhail Osipov. So we got d4 having a very great start, and we got the name so Indian, and then we got pawn to a3, which forces the bishop to take the knight, and now we got these double points for Mikhail Osipov. which is very bad for him because it is a very disadvantageous move to play. And we got pawn to c5 attacking back in the center. We got takes and we got this triple pawn structure, which is really bad for Mikhail Osipov. Anatoly Karpov, knowing this, literally attacks that triple pawn structure already because it is knowing that it is already weak at this position. He takes the free pawn, and now we got this very good position where Mikhail Osipov and Anatoly Karpov are both okay, except that Mikhail Osipov has actually double disadvantage with the pawns because the pawns cannot defend each other and no pawns can defend those two pawns, making them very, very weak. Knight to d4, desperately defending the pawn on c3, and then we got bishop to b7 attacking the rook on h1, and then we got pawn to f3, blocking the way of the bishop to attack the rook, and now we got rook castles for black, connecting both the rooks for black on the black side. So we got bishop to g2, and then bishop to a6, attacking the weak pawn on c4, and now we got pawn to f4. Now, because of the fact that if you take my pawn now on c4, then I will take your rook with the bishop. And now we got rook to c8, and then castles for white, and then bishop to c4, and then about at this point, Mikhail Osipov is about to lose on time. So Anatoly Karpov actually offers him a draw, but Mikhail Osipov doesn't know that the time is so low that possibly he can lose on time, didn't accept the draw of Anatoly Karpov. Instead, he goes pawn to f5. If you take with the pawn, I will take with the rook. Now I have this very powerful rook. So Anatoly Karpov doesn't do that and instead goes pawn to e5 and then knight back to f3 because it was being attacked. And now we got this very big center for Anatoly Karpov, which is very winning for Anatoly Karpov. And Mikhail Osipov lost on time, which is a very sad moment and a very sad time for him because he literally lost the game. What do you expect? A 3-year-old not to literally cry in the middle of a game when he's lost? He goes away for a second, but after a few seconds, he comes back to solve one of these puzzles from a big screen on the show, which is literally, I'm literally showing you maybe here, maybe a picture. But anyways, we got to this. He here literally solves puzzles. He literally is solving mate in trees. He's literally predicting mate in trees. And let's see how he literally solves it. He goes knight to h6. You cannot go here because of the fact that knight is going to take it. And also knight to h6. And the king moves. King needs to move. And then queen goes here. And then king goes to e7. And then we got to this mate, which is if the king cannot go anywhere and is on check. If it goes here and here and here, it will be taken by the queen. If it goes here, it also will be taken by the queen. If it goes to this square, it will be taken by the knight. And if it goes here, it's illegal because it is already been occupied by some pieces. Remember, he's just 3 and he's already solving this, which is really, really impressive. And literally, Anatoly Karpov was looking at him and was very, very impressed. This next puzzle is also mate in 3. He literally solved it within minutes before even the puzzle showed up. He literally already solved it with knight to g5. It is check, you need to take with the rook and another sacrifice, which is for a rook this time. And then we got to this checkmate. You cannot go here because of the rook. You cannot go here because of the king. And you cannot go here because of the pawn. And also, literally, black is winning by up a ton of material after sacrificing 2 pieces of white's pieces. And now, and this final puzzle is very also hard, and it is ridiculous because literally, this position is not possible. Maybe I just think. And bishop to f6 is the right move here, which he did literally. He literally did move the bishop, and now we got bishop takes f6. And this king to f8. The king cannot go anywhere. The pawn cannot go anywhere because the knight is blocking it. But this pawn can go anywhere. So it is the only legal move. Therefore, it moved. And now, we got knight to f7 mate for Mikhail Osipov, which is really great. He literally solved mate in trees in this tree puzzle. And he's literally 3 years old, which is really a coincidence. I don't know how is that a coincidence. But anyways. This is only 3, and he's solving already these puzzles, which is mate in 3. That is insane. And he literally lost from Anatoly Karpov with time, which is very sad. Okay, but anyways, I think that's all for this video. this was a very special video for Mikhail Osipov. Maybe this is the future. This is the future GM. I don't know. Maybe in the future he will be a GM, hopefully, or maybe even the world champion. Who knows? Anyways, I think this is the last game that I'll be showing you, and these three puzzles I'll be showing you. I already showed you. So see you guys in the next video. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And peace out.